What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are enjoying this fine hump day. We are gathered today here on this glorious Wednesday to discuss something that is particularly interesting. Is certainly something that kind of came, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but kind of evolved over the weekend. There was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan blog that wrote about Leighton Vander Esch, obviously Dallas Cowboys veteran linebacker, as a potential trade target for the Steelers. Kind of talking about should the Steelers trade for Leighton Vander Esch. Obviously, they have a bit of a need at linebacker. The Cowboys seem to have a bit of a surplus at linebacker. Shout out to the office for teaching all of us what a surplus is. Having Leighton, having Jalen Smith, drafting Micah Parsons, drafting Jabril Cox. The Cowboys, as you will recall, did not pick up Leighton Vander Esch's fifth-year option the Monday after the 2021 NFL Draft, which means he is in a contract year with the team, which implies that they are ready to move on from him. And if the Cowboys are ready to move on, why not move on? Why not trade him away if somebody wants to ultimately pick him up, somebody wants to acquire his services? Well, guess what? On Wednesday, NFL Network's Jane Slater, friend of the show, had a tweet that is very interesting, kind of talking about the Leighton Vander Esch rumors and different sort of things that are being discussed around the internet. Jane's tweet says, addressing the Leighton Vander Esch trade rumors, per a source informed, yes, there have been other teams interested in the linebacker, but I'm told the Cowboys are not interested in a trade, and he's still very much a part of the defensive plan next year and in the future. Now, look, this is a great report from Jane. Again, she is one of the best reporters in the business when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, really when it comes to all things. But the idea that the Cowboys are very interested in Leighton Vander Esch and his future is a little bit funny just on the surface, because they declined his fifth-year option. If the Cowboys were interested in Leighton Vander Esch's fifth-year option, they would have picked it up. That means they would have been interested in his future, which suggests that they are not. And so if the Cowboys are not interested in Leighton Vander Esch's future as a part of their team, as a part of their organization, why not move him? If they're getting calls, doesn't it make sense to move Leighton Vander Esch? Doesn't it make sense to get something? You're the Cowboys, right? You have Micah Parsons now. You have Jabril Cox. You have number 9, Jalen Smith. If Leighton Vander Esch is not going to be of supreme service to you in a contract year, why not just trade him? Well, here's the reason. Because I had that thought too. My first instinctual thought was do it. Pull the trigger. Trade him. Go ahead. Get him somewhere else. Get some draft compensation right now. But here's the thing. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously Leighton Vander Esch, a part of the group that was injured last season for the Dallas Cowboys. And that proves to us that football is a game where people get injured, right? Like, that's what happens. I mean, football is a game where people get injured. I'm going to say one more time. Football is a game where people get injured. And so while you think, as a Cowboys fan, while any of us possibly think that things are going to go swimmingly for the Cowboys, it's very possible that things aren't great in year one with Micah Parsons, or things aren't great in year one with Jabril Cox, or God forbid somebody gets hurt, or whatever the case may be. If Leighton Vander Esch is one of your lower down the depth chart linebackers, you're doing okay for yourself in terms of depth. And the reality is you're probably not going to get a whole lot for him in terms of return right now. Leighton's stock is very low in NFL circles, which is part of the reason why the Cowboys declined his fifth-year option to begin with. Now, Jane did have a follow-up tweet. She was responding to somebody else, and she noted that this whole situation, declining his fifth-year option, was something that both sides kind of agreed on. Why would Leighton Vander Esch's side agree on declining his fifth-year option? Jane's tweet reads, allows LVE to get healthy, and his market value could be higher if he plays at the level he believes he's capable of. Also gives the Cowboys, again, this whole situation, this idea, again, Jane's tweet reads, also gives the Cowboys flex stack strategy here is what I was told. That's something that's very interesting when you consider what did happen with Dak Prescott. Now, obviously, the Cowboys went about this ultimately in the wrong way, and that they paid a lot more money than they had to, but the Cowboys bet against Dak Prescott and they lost. But what if they'd won? What if Dak Prescott had not been great? Whatever the case may be, they would not have given a long-term contract to somebody that they don't believe in. Now, they did pay more money than they had to, but they obviously feel more comfortable doing that. And so the Cowboys are probably saying, look, Leighton, we're not going to pick up your fifth-year option. If you play well, maybe we'll talk about re-signing you in 2022, and your market value will be higher because, again, right now, as things currently stand, Leighton Vander Esch's stock is very low across the NFL. And if you're Leighton Vander Esch, while you're confident in yourself, you have to know that, right? Like, you have to know and be aware of the fact that You are not coming off of a great season. You've had some injuries that obviously derailed your NFL career so far. So nobody's going to be supremely interested in paying you a lot of money and picking up a fifth-year option that was $9 million fully guaranteed for 2022. So if you're Leighton Vander Esch, here's what you're thinking. Let's go into 2021. I'll ball out, right? Because you're being optimistic. I'll ball out. I'll play with my hair on fire. It'll be awesome. I'll do all the Wolf Howls, and then I'll get paid in 2022. Whether it's by the Cowboys or somebody else, I will get paid because the leverage will be back on my side in the world of negotiation. I'll have, obviously, a great year that I'm coming off of, a great season that I'm coming off of, and that's just kind of common sense. And so when you get to the place of should the Cowboys trade Leighton Vander Esch right now, no. I mean, I get what you're saying or where you're coming from and how you're kind of approaching this, and that you think he's not going to be somebody that is going to be a huge asset to them in 2021. That's fine. If he doesn't play a whole lot, that's okay. He's on the books for relatively cheap value. It is a first-round contract, but I mean, he's not, negatively impacting them. He's not, he's not taking up an enormous amount of cap space. This isn't a situation where you have to move on from him to create salary cap space like the Atlanta Falcons and Julio Jones are having going on right now. He's depth, right? Like that's what he is for you. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, he is veteran depth, a little bit of expensive depth. You don't want your depth players to be, on first round contracts, but he is depth, and on a team that needed a lot of depth, especially defensively last season, especially at the linebacker position. I mean, Leighton's injuries are a big reason why the Cowboys invested in both Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox. We'll see what happens with Jalen Smith down the road, obviously. But, I mean, they know better than anybody how precarious health can be in the middle of your defense. And so trading him right now would net you what? A fifth or sixth round pick in 2022? So what? I mean, is that really worth the depth that he can provide to you here in 2021? No, it's not. And guess what? If Leighton Vander Esch ultimately leaves, if things play out the way Leighton is hoping, right, that he plays very well to the point that he leverages that into a big-time contract next season, say he does leave, maybe he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Hello, we've talked about this a million times before. If you're the Dallas Cowboys and Leighton Vander Esch gets a big-time contract from somebody that is not you, you get what? A compensatory pick. We know the Cowboys love themselves some compensatory picks, so you might get a future draft pick back for Leighton Vander Esch no matter what. Like, I know you're thinking, I want it in 2022. I want it in the here and now. I want it as quickly as it can possibly come. But if we play out the hypothetical where Leighton Vander Esch plays very well in 2021, which is obviously a little bit hard to believe at this point, if we're being fair. But just because the opportunity really isn't going to be there for Leighton Vander Esch with so many other mouths to feed at the linebacker position. But say he does play very well, say he leverages that into a big-time contract with another team, he signs somewhere else in 2022, you're going to get a fourth round, fifth round compensatory pick in 2023. I know 2023 feels like it's 100 years from now, but I mean, it's only 1 year later than the year you would have a draft pick if you traded him today. And so, I mean, what's the rush? What is the big time rush to do this? Right now, he provides depth. He provides some stability, if you're being fair to the overall idea of that. And he provides some experience, which, look, I'm a big fan and you're a big fan, and we're all super excited to see what Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox bring to the Cowboys linebacker group. But the reality is they've never played an NFL down. And Leighton Vander Esch not only has, he's done it at a fairly elite level. Granted, that was 3 years ago when he was a rookie himself. So he brings experience, he brings stability, he brings depth, he brings all these things. And picking up a fifth or sixth round pick, because that's all you're going to get from him. You're not going to get something legitimate for Leighton Vander Esch. Nobody is trading a hot commodity for somebody who has not played a lot of football over the last couple of years and is in a rookie contract. It's just not worth it. It simply is not. It's a silly gamble to take. If you're the Cowboys, you might as well hold on to Leighton Vander Esch, get what you can out of him. That sounds, really blunt and really selfish, but that's the way NFL teams look at things. So it makes sense to hold on to him, get the most that you can out of him, hope he plays really well for your sake, for his sake, for everybody involved's sake, and that he gets a huge contract from somebody else that isn't you. Because if you're the Cowboys, your future is Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox. In 2022, he goes goes on, he has success, everything is great for him as well, and you get a compensatory pick. That's the way to play this out. I know it's frustrating because you probably feel like, man, Leighton isn't offering much to the Cowboys. Let's just go ahead and move on, whatever. But it truly, it's being a little bit impatient to trade Leighton Vander Esch before that. And so we all got to be cool. We all got to, just be slow about this. We got to be chill. So it makes sense that the Cowboys go about it. The only thing that is a little bit silly, and they have to say this, is the Cowboys pushing out this idea that, he's part of their plans for the future, when that's so obviously not the case. Because again, they declined his 5th-year option. They drafted Micah Parsons. They drafted Jabril Cox. I mean, the Cowboys have to be kind. The Cowboys can't come out and be like, yeah, you know what, we're moving on from Leighton Vander Esch after this year, because nobody would do that. But if we're reading the tea leaves, if we're reading between the lines, it is very obvious that this is very likely going to be Leighton Vander Esch's last season with the Dallas Cowboys. They're just being a little bit political about it, which is good for them. They have every right and every reason to do so. So should the Cowboys trade Leighton Vander Esch? No, I get where you're coming from, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But you know what does make sense? To subscribe right here to the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. We put out videos all the time, have different live streams, different film reviews, all sorts of fun stuff that we put out for you. We're working around the clock to make sure that you, the Dallas Cowboys fan, the smartest and best and most beautiful and perfect Dallas Cowboys fan in the world, are caught up to date on everything that you need to know. So subscribe right here to the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. And yeah, that about does it. Beyond that, just have a great day. That's really all we want. Just do us a favor and have the best day ever. Have the greatest day of all time. Seriously, just have the absolute best day ever. You know why? Because you deserve it. We'll see you next time.